Hi, I'm Snez, personal trainer, healthy lifestyle coach, and your guide to feeling your best. This podcast is a segment from my weekly radio show, Wellbeing Wednesdays, broadcast live on 88.6 Plenty Valley FM. It's all about sharing real, practical tips to help you move more, eat better, and live healthier without the overwhelm. Let's dive in, shall we? So we have Halloween coming up this Friday and it is absolutely here. We can see it everywhere. I've never seen so many jube lollies in so many different colours and so much chocolate shaped in so many different shapes and sizes and packets, and it's all out there, as well as all the fancy dress stuff and all the decor for our homes, making everything super spooky. But it's definitely here, and if you've got kids, you know what this then means. And I remember my boys are older now. We will still be going down and visiting some friends and neighbours and more enjoying the social aspect of Halloween and walking around and catching up with everybody. But we definitely won't be trick-or-treating and bringing home containers of lollies like they used to, those little pumpkin carry baskets that they have. And the thing is it's not just the lollies, it's the late night, but it's the sugar. And the colours was the worst thing I found for behaviour, and thank goodness, seriously, that Halloween falls on a Friday, so then the school teachers don't need to deal with that the next day. So parents, we're stuck with dealing with that impact of all of that sugar and, more importantly, that colours intake. Now, the thing is that Halloween is fun. I do have some friends that come from overseas that Halloween is a really big deal. And even though it seems a little bit foreign for us in this country and we're really trying to get into the spirit of it, it's a fun day out, dressing up, trick-or-treating and sharing treats with friends. But as the parents, I think we need to have some guidelines around what can we tell our kids, how can we monitor some of that so it doesn't turn one night of fun into a week of chaos, which potentially it could be, because the thing is the impact of whatever they consume on that night is not just that night. There is a follow-on effect of the next couple of days, as well as there's all this residual leftover lollies hanging around the house potentially for another week, depending on how great they were at collecting and how much the neighbours were giving away, but also how much they consumed in the one night. So let's think about some things that we can set up for ourselves to help ourselves and our kids out on navigating the day itself so that kids can enjoy it without overdoing it, but then also what to do after that sugar rush to help their little bodies recover and reset as well. So on the day, Halloween does work best when it's not a free-for-all. It's not, here's your bucket, off you go. Kids do better when there is a little bit of a plan. So before all of that, I would be, even before they get sent outside, make sure that they're eating a proper meal. So make sure their dinner includes protein and veggies, and a full stomach is definitely going to slow down the sugar absorption, and it's also going to help to control the cravings as well as control how much they actually feel like eating. So that's the first thing, is they need to make sure that they eat a proper meal before we head off. And something that I found was that in Halloween last year, I found that we sort of showed up, my son and I, in the old street where we used to live, because it's quite a busy Halloween street and all the neighbours are out, so we get a really great catch up, which is what we'll be doing on Friday. But what we found by the time we get there at 7, a lot of the kids were starting to wind up, and it was a school night last year, so a lot of the kids were starting to wind up, which means that parents are heading out at around about 5:30, 6 o'clock. And so that's a really important thing as a parent, is to have a bit of a think about, well, are you going to do an early dinner? Maybe when they get home from school, they're not having a snack, but you've got, if it's available to you to be able to do this, that they are having their dinner at that 4:30 time time slot. So then when they go out, they've got that belly full of a good nutritionally sound dinner. Making sure that they're hydrating well throughout the night as well, because a lot of this fabulous trick-or-treating and consumption of sugar comes with a decent amount of walking, which is good. So dehydration is definitely going to make those sugar highs and lows worse. So making sure that you're bringing a bottle and keeping that handy with you when they are starting to feel a little bit cranky. Even I find my little ones would get cranky before they could recognise that they are actually thirsty. And having some of those sweets is definitely going to increase their thirst. So we can set some of those things up, and then just also letting them know that as they are going, tell them what the better options are. Say, hey, when you're out there, go for the chocolates because they're definitely the better options. And why are they better options? Because with chocolate, there is some cacao in there is some milk in there is some fats in there as well, and there isn't the colour that we see in those Jube lollies, in those lollies in all shape of torn off limbs that we see for Halloween, which I think are just terrible. But they do come with them a decent amount of colours, which you won't get in chocolate. So yes, they're going to get chocolate, but they'll get less of a burst of chocolate than they will with the Jubes. So tune their eye into what's the better quality stuff, which is always going to be the chocolate over those Jubes. That is a little bit more expensive, but get them to go on a bit of a hunt for the better quality stuff. Get the good stuff. Bring me home some chocolate is what you want to tell them, and try to limit the amount of Jubes that they are choosing as well. Also, let them know that they can have a few sweets while they are trick-or-treating, and then when you get home, they can choose some of their favourites for that night. And there really does need to be a bit of a limit on how much they can have, and that will vary from child to child depending on their age and also what they do and don't enjoy. There will be some kids that will just have a couple of things. They'll be like, yeah, nah, I'm done. I'm feeling a bit weird. That was my kids, like, oh, I'm feeling a bit weird in the stomach. I've had enough. So we also want to make sure that we get the movement, encouraging movement. Trick-or-treating itself, it's great because it's walking, they're running, they're laughing, and all of that movement's going to help burn off some of that extra sugar energy anyway. So there's some of the things that you can do to prepare them for a more balanced night, I guess. Make sure they're hydrating along the way, make sure they've got a good meal in their bellies, and get them to choose better options while they're out there, and then manage how many they can have while they're out there, and then we can sort things out when we get home for a couple more things they can have when they're at home. And then that's a good, healthy trick-or-treating night, and really make the night more about looking at the displays and saying hello to neighbours and interacting in that way all together, bringing that social aspect and that fun in rather than that huge focus of the food and the sugar. So what happens after that big dose of sugar? The blood sugar levels are going to spike, and that gives a short-lived energy rush. And then what comes straight after that is the crash, the tiredness, the crankiness, sometimes even headaches, tummy aches. And that's just what a huge rush of sugar causes, and the insulin response in the body, and then the response for the bacteria in the body is going to cause some of these feelings. So for you, it's about making sure that you're expecting this behaviour. Don't feel that they are going to be on their best behaviour after you've spent a couple of hours of your evening taking them out trick-or-treating, because they're not going to behave for you. They're not going to be terribly grateful, especially if they've walked too much and they're feeling tired and then they've had this sugar spike. So definitely, parents out there or carers, set yourselves up. It is a Friday night, so you may be bringing them home to a movie night and just get them into bed as quickly as you can, or settle down after that night. Again, lots of hydration. Maybe if they are feeling a bit peckish, they may even not have had a lot of the sweets, so that may be something that you should probably plan for. But once the sugar settles, it's time to gently rebalance their system. So the next day, start the day with some protein and fibre at breakfast, whether that be eggs or oats with yogurt and berries, but something to help to stabilise the blood sugar levels meals from the night before and get rid of some of those cravings. Lots of water and also veggies to help flush out that excess sugar and restore that hydration that does come along with that. Probiotics are going to be your friend the next day because there will be a spike in feeding of the bad bacteria. So we want to make sure that we're getting in some really good quality, good bacteria into their system, such as yogurt, or you might want to get them a milk, a kefir from the supermarket, a pre-made one. A probiotic supplement can help restore the gut bacteria as well, which is all going to be impacted by that high sugar intake. And make sure to avoid any extra sugar. So the day after Halloween, try to reduce those other treats or processed snacks so that their bodies can actually have a reset. And I think the most important thing is kind of with the littler ones, it's easier to save some sweets for the next day. But then as a parent, I'd be trying to bin those as quickly as you could. The older ones pay a little bit more attention and they kind of count and they know when you throw things out. This is me speaking from experience. But, sometimes I would just say to them, you know what, that was for the time and it was a one-off and let's not let that spill in. Let's just chuck it out. It's no good for you. And, sometimes they're good with it, sometimes they're not. But if they are wanting to hang on to their goodies, then try to spread them out, maybe once a week over the next couple of weeks if that's possible. But definitely, again, giving them some guidance around what's acceptable and what's actually just good for them. So if you do notice that their behaviour is a little bit off, then you know what's kind of happening. But I think just making sure that we give them some good guidelines, it just gets them to build a healthier relationship with food and understand moderation naturally rather than having to moderate after not feeling so good. So Halloween doesn't have to be a battle between health and fun. It's a perfect opportunity to teach balance and how to enjoy treats. So get them to listen to their bodies, let them know, to discover when they feel like they've had enough and return to some healthy habits the next day. So let the kids dress up, collect their sweets, have a great night, and then use it maybe as a little bit of a life lesson as well if they do start to feel a little bit yuck at the end of it. Thanks for joining me on this segment from Wellbeing Wednesdays as heard live on 88.6 Plenty Valley FM. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with someone who might find it helpful and subscribe so you never miss a show. Want to catch the live broadcast? Well, you can tune in Wednesdays from 12 till 2 p.m. on 88.6 Plenty Valley FM or find my info on Wellbeing Wednesdays with Snez, the Facebook group. Take care, stay healthy, and remember, it's the little choices every day that create big changes. Talk soon.